Welcome to Pre-Algebra Summer Review number 10, Solving One-Step Equations with Addition or Subtraction. You should have worked some one-step equations in 7th grade last year, and so this should be a review. If not, hopefully this will be enough information to help you get through this section. So let's review solving one-step equations with addition and subtraction. The most important thing that you need to remember when solving equations that is in order for both sides to remain equal, which that's what an equation means. If you want something to be equal, equation and equal. Let me try to get this focused for you a little bit. All right. In order to do that, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must do to both sides of the equation. So while I know that oftentimes you can see the answer of a one-step equation without showing work, it is very important for you to show your work each time because equation solving is going to become much more difficult during pre-algebra. In Chapter 2 of pre-algebra, which is going to start happening soon after we start school, you're going to start equations that have variables on both sides, that have the distributive property, that have fractions and decimals, and so it's very important for you to get a good understanding of these simple one-step equations. So your goal is to isolate the variable. That means that whatever is with the variable must go away. Remember, isolate means to get something alone. In order to get it to go away, you must do the inverse of what is with the variable. So if the number with the variable is positive, you're going to subtract it. If the number with the variable is negative, you're going to add it. So let's take a look at it. We have x minus 4 equals 10. Our goal is to isolate this variable. We want to isolate x. In order to do that, we have to get what's with x. Now look at it. I know this is a subtraction sign, but that subtraction sign makes that 4 negative. So we've got a negative 4. In order to get rid of that, we have to add 4 to both sides. Notice that when I show my work, I actually show it to both sides, and I require you to do this as well. So negative 4 plus 4 is 0. That leaves us with x. 10 plus 4 is 14. So x equals 14. Now, you can always check your work, and I think this is a good idea, especially in pre-algebra when you're first starting out. You have x minus 4 equals 10. So all we did was rewrite our equation. And then we're going to take x, which we found was 14. We're going to substitute 14 in for x. Fourteen minus 4 equals 10. 14 minus 4 is 10. 10 equals 10. If both sides are equal, remember that's the meaning of an equation, then you are correct. So hopefully when you first looked at this equation, you knew the answer without having to do any math. Most of us can figure out these simple equations in our head. However, it is very important that you learn the process. If you look at this equation, I don't like to think of it as a subtraction equation, just like I said. I look at it as this being a negative 4 sitting with the x. So what I did was add 4 to both sides, and we got x equals 14. And when we checked our answer, we knew we were right. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 says x plus 6 equals 12. So we want to isolate our variable, x. We have a positive 6. So remember I said that if you have a positive, you're going to subtract it. So we have positive 6. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. That leaves us 6 minus 6 is 0. That leaves us with x. And 12 minus 6 is 6. So x equals 6. Let's check it. We're going to substitute 6 for x. 6 plus 6 is 12, and 12 equals 12. So we are correct. Okay, so let's look down at the bottom where it says you try. Now obviously if you were doing these on your own, you would try them on your own, but since you're doing them with me on this video, we'll work on them together. So first thing we want to do is isolate the variable. For some of us, it's going to be really helpful if we always circle that variable. So we see that we have a negative 8 with that y. So we want to add 8 because our goal is to get y by itself. So our goal is to make this number 0. To make negative 8 0, we add positive 8. So negative 8 plus 8 is 0. That leaves us with y. and 10 plus 8 is 18. Now, most of these are fairly simple. We'll get into ones with negatives and positives as you start school in the fall. Possibly a few on this homework I don't recall. All right, number 4, w plus 7 equals 12. Let's circle that w because we want to get rid of that, or we want to isolate that. We want to get rid of the 7. Since it's positive, we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. Notice that I show my work on both sides of the equation. 7 minus 7 is 0. That leaves us with w. 12 minus 7 is 5. Again, you can check these just like we checked numbers 1 and 2 at the top. I don't require it, but if you check them, you know if you're right. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. And what I did was mostly I worked with positives for you here, so there aren't a lot of negatives that you have to deal with, of adding and subtracting negatives. So for homework number 10, there are 8 problems. You need to work all 8 problems. You absolutely must show your work. If you don't show your work, you will not get any credit when you come back in August. So show your work exactly like I did on the video. So the people who aren't watching the videos are going to have a little bit more difficult time getting their points on these assignments.